we were discussing a chapter number 2. It is biological classification. In this chapter, till now we have finished kingdom Monera and we have half finished with the kingdom Protista. So let's see a brief classification of kingdom Protista and then we go ahead with the remaining subclasses of kingdom Protista. So you know that the kingdom Protista this kingdom Protista is divided into following types. Okay, the first one it's called as chrysophytes. Second one is called as dinoflagellates. Third one is called as euglenoids. Fourth one is called as slime mold, and the fifth one is called as protozoa. Even this protozoa is subdivided into 4 types like amoeboid protozoa, flagellated protozoa, ciliated protozoa and the sporozoa. From these 5 we have finished with these 3: chrysophytes, dinoflagellates, euglenoids. These 3 have been finished. Now today we have to learn regarding these 2. First one is called as slime mold and then we have to learn the protozoa. Okay, so first of all we will start with a slime mold. There is a kind of a kingdom Protista and then we will learn regarding the protozoa. Okay, so let's start with a slime mold. You know that the slime mold is a subtype of kingdom Protista. So what are the characteristics that we have to learn? Okay, so now we will discuss the characteristic of slime mold. What are the characteristics of a slime mold? First of all, we have to say what mode of nutrition it has. Okay, so if you see the mode of nutrition in case of slime mold, then it is saprophytic in nature. Which mode of nutrition we will find? We will find a saprophytic mode of nutrition that is found in the slime mold. Saprophytic mode of nutrition, that means it depends on the dead and decaying leaves and the twigs. It depends on the dead material. Okay, specifically it lives on the twigs and the leaves which are dead. Okay, this is the mode of nutrition you can find in a slime mold. Now if we talk about its reproduction, how this slime mold gets reproduced. So the two different varieties of reproduction can be observed in a slime mold. First, in favorable condition, and the second one it's called as an unfavorable condition. There are 2 conditions in which the reproduction can be found: in favorable condition and the second one is called as an unfavorable condition. In favorable condition, they continuously grow up, okay, and it leads to a formation of aggregation. Okay, that leads to a formation of aggregate of a cell. So that forms an aggregation, and this aggregation can be called as plasmodium. What it can be called as? Plasmodium. Okay, so this is how they reproduces in the favorable condition. Favorable condition, that means there is a good environment for its survival. So when there is a good environment is available for their survival or favorable environment is available, this slime mold they forms aggregations, and these aggregations ultimately leads to a development into a spore. But when there is an unfavorable environment or there is an unsuitable environment for its survival, in that it gets fragmented. This one gets fragmented. Okay, and the tip of each fragment have spores. What they have? Spores. Okay, so the tip of each fragment has a presence of a spore. This spore, the spores which are going to be produced, they have a presence of true cell wall. Okay, the spore which is going to be produced that has a presence of true cell wall, and the characteristic of this cell wall is such that it can able to stand in any adverse condition or any kind of adverse condition in which it can survive. Okay, so that's why in unfavorable condition the slime mold can also survive. Okay, so this kind of a reproduction that is observed in case of a slime mold. So there are two varieties of reproduction you can observe, in favorable condition and in unfavorable condition. In favorable condition it forms an aggregate. This aggregate is called as plasmodium. And in unfavorable condition it gets a fragmented, breaks down, and that leads to a formation of fragments. The tip of each fragment, they bear a spores or they possess spores. These spores has a cell wall. A true kind of a cell wall is present, and the characteristic of this cell wall is such that it can survive in any adverse environment or any adverse conditions, and thus the slime mold can live for number of years. Okay, so this is all about a slime mold. Okay, the fourth variety or fourth subclass in case of a kingdom Protista. Okay, now we go ahead with the fifth class and the last class, and what we are calling it as, it's called as a protozoa. Okay, so let's discuss regarding protozoa. Now we are discussing regarding a protozoa. As we have discussed earlier, this protozoa can be of four different types of a protozoa are there. Okay, so what are the different kinds of a protozoa are there? First kind is called as amoeboid protozoa. Okay, the second variety you can call it as flagellated protozoa. The third variety you can say that it is ciliated protozoa. Okay, and the fourth variety is called as sporozoa. So these are the four different varieties of protozoa, the fifth class. First amoeboid protozoa, second flagellated protozoa, third ciliated protozoa, and the fourth one is sporozoa. Before we discuss each class of this protozoa, we will discuss few general characteristics of this kingdom protozoa, okay, or the subclass of a Protista. So what are the characteristics of this protozoa? If you learn the characteristic of this protozoa is mostly similar or working like animals. Okay, and they includes a variety of different types of living organisms, or it has a various diversity. So this kind of a protozoa you can find over here. Okay, here if you see, then the mode of nutrition is heterotrophy. In the protozoa, the mode of nutrition is heterotrophy. Okay, that means they cannot prepare their food by themselves, but most of the times they are getting the foods, or they depends on the other for their food requirement. Even if I specify, even in the heterotrophy, they are working as predators or they are working as parasites. Okay, either they are working as predators or they are working as parasites. Okay, in the heterotrophic, there is a more specification regarding the protozoa. Okay, now let's discuss the one by one. First kind is, it's called as an amoeboid protozoa. Okay, the very well known example, it's an amoeba. Okay, and these amoeba, where it can be found, there are various locations where this amoeba can be found. So if you see this amoeba, the amoeba can be found into it is aquatic. Okay, it can also be found into marine water. Okay, even in aquatic, it can be found into sea water, or it can also be found into moist soil. So these are the locations where this amoeba can be found. Okay, so this is regarding the amoeba. Now, how it takes up food? Okay, you know that their mode of nutrition is heterotrophic. That means they cannot prepare their food, but they have to depend on the other for their food requirement. So how they take the food? The amoeba, it develops a false feet, and you have learned it. What this false feet is called as pseudopodia. What we are calling as pseudopodia. Okay, through this pseudopodia, it consumes the food. It takes the food. Okay, so here there is a development of a pseudopodia by which it takes a food. Okay, even few amoeba are such that, specifically those who can found into oceans. Okay, the ocean or in the sea, this amoeba are such that they also have a presence of a silica. Okay, there is a presence of a silica cell wall. Okay, and that's why they can survive for a long time period. And few amoeba are such that they are parasitic. They are parasitic amoeba. Okay, that means they are causing a disease. Okay, they do not have a pseudopodia, but they are the parasitic. Okay, they harm the other living organism, and the example of the parasitic amoeba is entamoeba. This is the example of parasitic amoeba, entamoeba. Okay, so this is regarding the characteristic. You can say call it as amoeboid protozoa. Okay, again repeat, it can be found in a fresh water, it can be found in a marine water, it can be found in a moist soil. That means they are aquatic. How they take the food? They take a food by development of a false feet called as pseudopodia. Those amoeba or amoeboid protozoa that you can find into oceans, they have a silica in its cell wall. The others do not have. There are also a parasitic amoeba, and the example of this parasitic amoeba is a entamoeba. Okay, so this is a characteristic you can find into an amoeboid protozoa. Now the second one, the second kind of a protozoa is flagellated protozoa. The second one is, it's called as a flagellated protozoa. We have to discuss regarding this flagellated protozoa. So if you see the characteristic of this flagellated protozoa, what kind of mode of nutrition you can find? So here, most of the times, either they are free living or parasitic. Either they are free living or they are a parasite. Okay, and as the name itself suggests, they have a presence of flagella. That's why we are calling it as flagellated protozoa. They are the organisms which have a presence of a flagella. Okay, that's why we are calling it as a flagellated protozoa. As I have already told you earlier that few protozoa which are flagellated, they are parasitic in nature. They are parasitic in nature. So I am giving you example of parasitic flagellated protozoa, parasitic, and the example is Trypanosoma. Which one is a Trypanosoma? This trypanosoma is a parasitic and is able to cause a disease. So which disease is caused by? It is sleeping sickness. It is a sleeping sickness that is produced by this flagellated protozoa. Okay, so this is all about the characteristic of flagellated protozoa. Now we go ahead with the third type. Okay, and it is called as ciliated protozoa. Ciliated protozoa. Okay. The name itself suggests they have a hair-like structures. What we are calling it as cilia. Okay, and due to these hair-like structures, they are actively moving. They are actively moving. Okay, because here this cilia, they show a coordinated movement. The cilia shows a coordinated movement, and hence they can move very easily. Okay. Even what they have a special arrangement for food intake. What you can say a gullet. Gullet means a simple mouth-like structures. Okay, like we have a hand. With the help of hand, we can keep the food into our mouth. But they don't have any kind of a hand. But they have a cilia. So what they do? The food which is floating in the water. The food that is floating in the water, because it's a protozoa. Protozoa is a kingdom Protista. And with that kingdom Protista are the aquatic, means they can found in the water. So their food is present in the water. So the food that is present in the water, or it is floating in the water, that is taken up by this gullet. And who will help in taking up? The cilia. The cilia will help in the taking up. So they have a gullet. By gullet, they will take up the food that is floating in the water. Okay. So thus they can take this food inside that. And thus they are heterotrophic in nature. Thus they are the heterotrophic in nature. Okay. So they have a presence of a gullet. Okay. Next, last one is called as a sporozoa. The last one is called as a sporozoa. Okay. these sporozoa are the many times dangerous to a human being because they form a spores, and these spores are such that they are causing the diseases in their life. And why we are calling it as a sporozoa? Because here there is a formation of a spore like stage in their life. Okay, so that's why we are calling it as sporozoa. Okay, like for an example, if you see that, I will give you example: Plasmodium vivax. This is an example of sporozoa. Plasmodium vivax or Plasmodium falciparum or Plasmodium malaria. They are the plasmodiums which falls under the category called as sporozoa. They have a capacity to cause a disease. They have a capacity to cause a disease. Like this Plasmodium vivax is capable to cause a malaria in human being. And sometimes it is very dangerous if it is not treated within a time. Okay, so they have a spore-like stage in their life, and these spores are such that they are infectious, can cause an infection, can cause a disease. And this is one example, like Plasmodium vivax. This is responsible for causing a malaria because it has a infectious spore-like stage in their life. So that's all about the last type of last class of a kingdom Protista, and that is a protozoa, which is subdivided into 4 types, and we have discussed its characteristics. Okay, so these all are important. Any of them can be asked in an examination, so you have to prepare all very well. Okay, so that's all about. Here we are finishing with a kingdom Protista. Now the next kingdom, we have finished with kingdom Monera, that includes a bacteria. We have finished with the kingdom Protista, that is subdivided into 5 classes. Now we have to start with the kingdom Fungi, the third kingdom, that is called as a kingdom Fungi. So let's discuss regarding this kingdom Fungi. Today we will only learn the general characteristic of this kingdom Fungi. Let's discuss the general characteristic of kingdom Fungi. So now we are going to learn regarding the kingdom Fungi. Okay, say what kind of cell type. So first of all, I will say that they are eukaryotic cells. All the examples which falls under this kingdom Fungi, they are eukaryotic. Kingdom Monera is a prokaryotic. Kingdom Protista is eukaryotic, and kingdom Fungi is also eukaryotic. In kingdom Protista, they are unicellular. But if you look after the kingdom Fungi, then it may be either unicellular or it may be a multicellular. 2 different varieties you can find. You can also find, I will tell you the examples of unicellular and the multicellular fungi. Both types of fungi you can find. Okay. This unicellular fungi, I will give you an example. The yeast. Yeast is an example of a unicellular fungi. Okay. So we have an example which is a unicellular fungi, and there are also lots of other examples which are multicellular in nature. So good. So this is the cell type and its complexity. So what kind of the cell fungi has? Fungi is a eukaryotic. The fungi is made up of either just of one cell or it is made up of a many cell. The example of unicellular fungi is a yeast. Now if you see the next characteristic, that is that habitat, where this found. Where these fungi they are living. If you see this habitat of the fungi, they are cosmopolitan in nature. Cosmopolitan in nature, that means they can be found everywhere. They can be found in a water, they can be found in a air, They can be found on the soil, they can found on a plants, they can found on animals. There are different locations. It is cosmopolitan in nature. That means it can be found at the variety of places like water, air, soil, plants, animals, etc. Okay? Here, but the main important thing is that the environment which is favorable for its growth is a warm, humid environment. Okay? This is the warm, humid environment that favors or that promotes the growth of kingdom fungi. Okay, so this is what happens. So this is the habitat. I again repeat what kind of cell type they have. They are eukaryotic, either unicellular or multicellular. They can be or they are cosmopolitan in nature. They can be found at different locations. Mostly it can be found into warm, humid places. This is the location where it's going to be found. Now if you see the mode of nutrition, which mode of nutrition they have? Which mode of nutrition they have? So here if you discuss, then the mode of nutrition, they are heterotrophic. No fungi is autotrophic. They are heterotrophic in nature, means they have to depend on the other for their food requirement. Okay? Even there are also few fungi which are living as a parasitic. Okay? If you compare, then even in this heterotrophic, few of them are living as a parasitic. But there are also some fungi which have a symbiotic relation. Okay? The fungi also shows the symbiotic relation. Okay? Symbiotic relationship, that means when two organisms they are living together, then both gets a benefit or mutually both have an advantage when they are living together. This kind of a relationship is called as a symbiotic relationship. Like for an example, if I show you, then the fungi, okay, and they live with a higher plants. So these are the two different species. One is fungi and the second one is a higher plant. Here both are living together, and when both are living together, fungi, it provides a nutrition to a higher plant. The higher plant, or specifically I say that fungi that provides a minerals to a higher plant, and the higher plant provide a ready-made food to a fungi. So here both are living together, and this kind of relationship is called as symbiotic relationship. So the symbiotic relationship between the fungi and the higher plant, we are calling it as mycorrhiza. What we are calling it as mycorrhiza. Similarly, the symbiotic relationship between the fungi and algae. The symbiotic relationship between the fungi and the algae, it is called as lichen. What it can be called? It can be called as a lichen. So here the algae do a photosynthesis, prepare a food, provides to it. What the fungi in return do? The fungi, it provides a habitat or it provides a mineral which are necessary for photosynthesis to an algae. So such kind of mutual relationship or symbiotic relationship can be also found in the fungi. So in the mode of nutrition, it may be either heterotrophic, sometimes it may be a parasitic. Even you can also find the symbiotic relationship in the fungi, like the symbiotic relationship between the fungi and the plant, higher plants, it's called as mycorrhiza. Similarly, the symbiotic relationship between the fungi and the algae, it's called as a lichen. It's called as a lichen. So thus, such kind of a mode of nutrition you can find in it. Okay. Now we discuss regarding the structure of a fungi. So which kind of structure we will find? I just write over here the multicellular. So now we will discuss regarding the structure of a fungi. So if you see the structure of a fungi, unicellular fungi like yeast, they are just made up of one cell. But there are very few unicellular fungi. But how the multicellular fungi they are organized, or what is the structure of it? It is multicellular, means it's made up of many cells. So how they are organized? Here, this multicellular fungi, they are organized, or they are, first of all, it is filamentous in nature. Okay, so this is kind you can say that this is a filament like structure. Okay, so if you specify more specifically, then it consists of this filament is like a long, it is long, slender, thread like structure. How I just specified that how it's look like. It is long, slender, thread like structure you can find, and this is a filamentous nature you can observe. This long, slender, thread like structure, it's called as hyphae. What we are calling it as hyphae. Okay, and when there is a network of hyphae, this is a single hyphae, but when it is a network of hyphae like this, okay, it is long, slender, a network of hyphae is present. This network of hyphae is called as mycelium. What it is called as mycelium. Okay, so this is a mycelium. Okay, so how the multicellular organisms they are organized or what they have. So again repeat, if you see the structure of multicellular fungi, it is a filamentous. It consists of long, slender, thread-like structure like single one. The single one is called as a hyphae. But when it is arranged in the network, a group, then this one is called as a mycelium. Means they have a mycelium. Now, this is a mycelium. I am just drawing a one. There is a hyphae. That's for your easy understanding. Some fungi are such as that in which this is a cytoplasm of it. This is a cell. This is a cytoplasm. And there are many nucleus are present in it. So here you can see a multinuclear condition arises in the cytoplasm of it. Such kind of it's called as choanocytic fungi. Okay, because here there are multiple nuclei are present in it. But there are also few fungi in which there is a kind of development of a septum. Means there are also few fungi which have a septate. Means they have a septa, a layer which is developed. And this is divided into a different septa, okay, a compartments. Okay, so this is called as both kind of arrangement you can find. Either a multinuclear conditions in a cytoplasm, we are calling it as choanocytic, or they are just divided by a septa, that means they are septate. Both kind of conditions we can find it into a fungi. So there can be either choanocytic and the septate. Such arrangement you can find into a fungi. Okay. Now next one is what kind of the reproduction they have. What kind of reproduction they have. So they can go for different types of reproduction. Okay. Like in a vegetative reproduction, vegetative reproduction, they either go for fragmentation, fission, or budding. These are the methods they adopt. Okay. In asexual reproduction, this is vegetative is also asexual, but when you talk about the more specific asexual by spore formation, so here the asexual reproduction by formation of different spores like conidia, or you can say zoospores. Okay, conidia are the non-motile spores, zoospores are the motile spores. Okay, motile means they can move. Okay, conidia or the zoospores, such kind of the spores are going to be formed in the asexual. Even there are also few fungi which reproduces sexually. Here it can also show a sexual reproduction, and sexual reproduction is also by formation of sexual spores like basidiospores or ascospores. Such kind of the spores you can find in it. Okay. If you see the sexual reproduction in fungi, then sexual reproduction in fungi that involves a three stages. First, it's a fusion of protoplasm, what we call it as plasmogamy. Second one, it's a fusion of nucleus, we are calling it as karyogamy. And the third one is meiosis of that cell. Okay, so these are the three steps which are involved in a sexual reproduction. Those fungi which reproduces sexually, in a sexual reproduction it involves a three phases. First, plasmogamy, means a fusion of protoplasm. Second, karyogamy, it's a fusion of nucleus. And third, a meiosis. Okay, so these are the three steps which are involved in it. So that's all about the in general introduction of kingdom fungi. Okay. Now this kingdom fungi is divided into 4 classes: phycomites, ascomites, basidiomytes, deuteromites. But regarding their individual characteristic, we will learn in the next session. Till then, you have to prepare kingdom Monera, Protista, and you have to learn regarding the general introduction of kingdom fungi. Students, learn it thoroughly. Okay? Keep learning, keep watching, like and subscribe this channel. Thank you for watching.